Guys, minta co-host dong.
Iya Kak, dia minta tolong dong. Oke, udah ya Kak.
Dari satu. Ya.
But we can also achieve equality in bearing a child. So we all know that in feminism, equality is something that needs to be achieved. That is our goal as the feminist movement. So in pregnancy, in this case, in pregnancy, it is often forgotten that pregnancy is the responsibility of both men and of both the men and the woman. So when a fetus is put into an artificial womb, what happens is that it becomes not just exclusively the woman's responsibility, rather the man who fathered this as well. So a few examples that are for so a few examples. There are couples who got accidentally pregnant, and then there are numerous, or maybe a lot in most cases, in which the father runs away or doesn't take responsibility because the fetus is attached to the woman. The fetus is exclusively the woman's. So, but when the fetus, so the way that we can, so what happens is that, the man does not take responsibility, and then there's this misogynist, and then it pushes a misogynist narrative that the woman is the I'm not gonna say the slur word and blah blah blah. So the woman is the one that has to take all of the blow. They have to take all of the shame from society, and they also have to take in. They also have to be the only one that experiences the pain and also experiences the amounts of responsibility of bearing a child. So, but when the fetus is not exclusively the woman's, and it is put into the artificial womb, the responsibility becomes equal. Both parties are equally responsible because the fetus is not just attached to the woman's anymore, but it is there, and there's no attachment between. There's no like physical attachment towards any gender, so that becomes both of their responsibilities. So, and so with that, with the use of these artificial wombs, what can happen is that the man can be as equally responsible as the woman. So another example that I would like to bring is, people that has careers, or we can take another example as athletes. Male athletes, when they have a child, they can easily move on with their games, or go on with the profession, and participate in the amounts of sports competitions and stuff like that. Or whereas if you compare it to a female athlete, when they bear a child, a lot of them cannot continue or participate due to their pregnancy. So what this technology does is that it is a very practical solution for that. And what happens when women athletes have this option is that in the long run, they will be able to participate as much as men. So with that, we can achieve equality. We can achieve like physical equality, even if it's not 100%. But that's one problem that we can solve in this current situation, where female athletes can just participate as much as men, and they can continue on with their career as much as just a man. So that is all from me.
All right, thank you. The first speaker from the government team spent 5 minutes and 46 seconds. We go to the first speaker from the opposition team. You can start whenever you're ready.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, great. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, honorable educators, and ladies and gentlemen of the court. Today, we will be discussing the motion that in a world in which the technology exists, the House believes that feminists should aggressively promote the use of artificial wombs. Now, we as the opposition team oppose this motion, and we will be explaining this stance to you. But before that, allow me to introduce myself first. My name is Jason Ikajupitiari. I will be speaking as a leader of opposition. Unfortunately, our second speaker has gone missing, so I will also be taking over the role of the deputy leader of opposition. And then I'll be accompanied by Rusky, who will be taking the role of the opposition whip. And right, so let's get on with the points that the government has made, which have been very valid and great in our opinion. However, there are a few flaws that we would like to point out, which even in the world in which the technology exists might be an error. So here are a few contexts that the government has so gracefully provided with us, and that is that they would aggressively promote this technology, the existence of this technology, through education, and that this would allow the women to have more access. So in this case, the ideal world in which the government has proposed to us is a world in which there will be more there will be more solutions which are more curative than preventive. This is a world that we strongly oppose to, because in a world even in which this technology exists, we believe that there should be accountability to the actions that are being brought up in with copulation or intercourse. So here is the scenario that the government has brought up with us. It is that apparently, according to the government side team, with the fetus being incubated with the artificial womb, the father and the mother would share equal responsibility. Now, I would like to address this in a question. And what if both of the parents do not want to have the responsibility? What if they do not want to take care of the child? What do you think would happen if neither the father, who in the scenario has run away from his responsibility, or the mother, who we assume would probably might have this growing hate towards the father and anything that is related to the father, including the fetus in this artificial womb, what happens to the baby and the fetus then? Ladies and gentlemen, we oppose this vision because we believe it is ineffective in the status quo. We believe that in the long run, if they were to continue with this motion, if the artificial wombs were to be accessible to everyone, we would only be enabling the the crimes, sexual crimes of people. No, we propose a different solution as the opposition side of the house. We propose that the feminists should not only focus on the female part of the world, but also the male part. They should, if they should aggressively promote their education, then they should do so as well to the men. They should do their best to prevent such cases from happening, rather than providing more options to give a solution in the status quo. Because in the ideal world that we are going to bring up, we need to promote preventive cases more than curative cases. And so, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we have provided you with our stance, and now we would like to question this motion more, really, on the fact that by aggressively promoting, what are you exactly doing to the feminist movement? Yes, we know that the feminist movement is indeed inherently good for the society because it will bring about the equality and equal standing for both genders. However, in this ideal world, ladies and gentlemen, where they are aggressively promoting the use of artificial wombs, even through education, can you guarantee that every single one of the feminists who are onto this movement would actually not stray from this original goal? Because as we know, in the status quo, even though it is marginal, there are radical or extreme feminists who have strayed from the original goal of having equal standing with men to degrading men altogether. With this technology, we believe that this will be exacerbated and that people would actually see less equality and more conflicts. Ladies and gentlemen, we believe that this is not an ideal world to live in, and even if the technology exists, it should not be aggressively promoted, not through education, nor any other forms of promotion. If it should be promoted, then it should be promoted as the government has provided as an option, rather than being aggressive about it. Because if you are going about it aggressively, ladies and gentlemen of the court, then it will influence people to believe in something that is not inherently true to the feminist movement. Ladies and gentlemen of the court, because of these scenarios, because of these questions that we hope the government side of the team could provide us elaboration on, we strongly believe that this motion is still insufficient considering the status quo. It is still lacking, and even if technology does exist, it should not be aggressively promoted, because doing so would only cause more harm to our society rather than give the benefits. And it will again stray from the original feminist movement, which should focus on equality and equal standing for both genders. And so, with that, ladies and gentlemen of the court, I would like to end my speech by saying that we proudly oppose this motion because it is not ideal, because it is not focusing on the more important parts in which we need to be preventive of this case, preventive of the patriarchal view, which is still at large. And as such, ladies and gentlemen of the court, we strongly oppose. Thank you all very much for listening.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And the first speaker from the opposition team spent 6 minutes and 54 seconds. Now we move on to the second speaker from the government team. You may start your speech whenever you're ready.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
All right, wait a second. All right, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. All right, thank you for the opponents and for the explanation and the arguments, but we, the government team, disagree with some of the points that you have mentioned earlier. So the first point that we disagree is when you say what if neither of the parties don't want to take responsibility to the child. Well, it's actually kind of confusing when you say what if the case where the both parties don't want to take responsibility. I mean, the adoption system exists for a reason, right? So the systems called adoptions exist for this kind of case, where you find case where this child born, but none of the father or the mother wants to take the responsibility. Then we can go to the system looking for adoptions. Then other people will take the children. It's going to be safe for both parties whatsoever. So your statement beforehand is basically solved in the first hand. So yeah, for the case, what if neither of the parties don't want to take responsibility? Well, you can go for that for adoptions. This world is big. People. There is people that want to have children but cannot because of the pain they had. So the system adoptions can be the answer. Also, when you say feminists have to focus on men more, that is exactly what feminists have been trying to do for hundreds of years. So it doesn't really make any sense when you say feminists have to focus on the man. The feminist stands for the equality of women, everyone. You have to know that. And then the progress, when you say feminists have to focus on the man, it's not really good in terms of pregnancy. So I don't really understand what's the meaning of feminists have to focus on the man. You don't really explain it well. Also, when you say with this artificial wombs technology, it can also be degrading women. So but the government team doesn't really understand how is it going to happen when you say it can degrade woman's pride or whatsoever. So it's not going to solve anything. Also, so that we, the government team, believe that by promoting the with promoting the artificial wombs aggressively, the technology of artificial wombs can be accessible to all women rapidly. Sophia has mentioned it beforehand. This technology is beneficial for all the women who are willing to have children but don't want to experience the process of being pregnant and giving birth to children. By promoting it aggressively, just imagine how many lives can be saved by this technology. By promoting
especially in conservative cultures in various countries in the world, like Pakistan, India, even Indonesia in rural areas. The artificial womb protects the rights of this woman from this career death. In a 2013 study by Zakaria R. called The Doctor Brides, Pakistan at the time has 80 to 85% women women studying medical in various universities of the country. However, there is only 30% of active female doctors in the workforce. This is what we mean by career death. The women, because they are forced to marry, because they are forced to have children, their careers die and they can no longer pursue this. The other side of the house says that our argument is rooted in patriarchy because we say we promote patriarchal values that woman has to stay in the kitchen. However, our motion is the exact opposite. By making these artificial wombs, we protect the woman's right. to do what they want, to do what they wish, so that they can still pursue their careers. The other side of the house says that why should it be our side of the house's responsibility? It should be the office's responsibility. No, we do not agree with this, because as we know, capitalism greed is endless. If in even America does not offer maternity leave for the woman. That is why we believe, to circumvent this endless greed, the implementation of artificial wombs directly protects women's right to be free of patriarchal values, to be free from being forced to stay at home, so that they can further pursue their careers, whether it be as a doctor, as a painter, as an office worker, etc. We also believe that pregnancy takes a lot of time, 9 months and more, for recovery. This means that the mother is at significant risk of pain, economic strain if they are not insured by the company, and etc. We believe that this artificial womb also fixes that issue directly. We would also like to address the argument by the other side of the team, that the existence of an artificial womb goes against traditional values. I give you another question. Why should we stay traditional? We were given a brain and common sense so that we can develop technologies. We are here today because we go against traditional values. The natural birth is not only painful, it is also dangerous. Neonatal deaths between the mother or the baby, or even both, still exist today, even with modern medicine. The existence of, for example, C-section and in vitro fertilization helps neonatal deaths. However, it does not fix this. That is why we believe that despite going against traditional values, this directly benefits women, because not only does it greatly reduces or even eliminates neonatal deaths, it also gets rid of the pain, stress, frustration, and pain for the mother while they are having a baby or while giving birth. Again, we believe that this motion is important, that we must aggressively promote this technology so that extensive research and funding can be given to the masses, so that this technology can be further developed into common technology, and so that this can be given to the masses, both for the rich and for the poor, both for those living in the city or those living in the village, because this technology directly helps women and reduces the many fears, the many stresses, and the many deaths that comes with natural birth. We also believe we also like to address the point that the other side of the house made, that this artificial womb takes away the emotional connection between the mother and the child. We say that we do not agree with this. Why? Because an artificial womb doesn't mean that the mother can just give her egg and the husband can give the sperm and then suddenly the baby is somewhere isolated. No. The process is, of course, can be observed the same way an in vitro fertilization or an artificial insemination happens. So to say that the mother is separated emotionally is wrong, because they can still see the progress of their child developing. That is why our house believes that feminists should aggressively promote the existence of artificial wombs. Thank you.
The Deputy Prime Minister spent 7 minutes 32 seconds. 7 minutes 32 seconds.
Thank you for the speech. Now let's call upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the Deputy Leader of the Opposition. Before I start my speech and rebuttals, I would like to answer. I would like to clarify the question that the government team has asked. why should we stay traditional? I would like to remind you that we don't go against modern values, but there are better alternatives than this technology. So, to my rebuttals, the government team kept saying about how women especially in developing countries and conservative cultures, need this technology to exist. But the first thing is it costs a lot, and I will explain. I will explain it later in my points. And how can they afford that in those developing countries? Isn't it better to promote contraception? And also about protecting women's rights in their career while being pregnant uh, will be difficult and harmful for the women. But there are also downsides to artificial wombs, and this will lead to the points that the opposition team has talked about. So the first one is there will be a lack of communication between the mother and children with this tech, because a mother is more than just a uterus. So when talking about the danger about talking about that those women's rights, we have to remind ourselves that a mother is not just uterus. It's not an artificial uterus won't help that, you know. Janet Di Pietro, Associate Dean for Research at the John Hopkins Fetal Development Project, said that a mother's sleep pattern, posture, voice, and diet all have an impact on the fetus. The lifestyle, everything. She explained that the maternal setting creates an environment that extends well beyond. No, thank you. Extends well beyond the direct circulatory system relationship. And in other words, there's more to being a pregnant mother than the physical exchange of nutrition and uterus. Even if we did get the placenta down, there's a lot of work that a mother has to do other than that. And it's also important to consider what a woman accomplishes with the rest of her body. And people are sophisticated enough machines that simply duplicating the uterus might not be adequate. And the second point is the House should focus on what is happening to a more important gender issues rather than a technology that poses danger. And the government and the House should focus more, like we said, on the contraception. No, thank you. Contraceptions and family planning. In fact, negative outcomes are very likely among infants born before 23 weeks. And the mortality rate is greater than 50%, and they have 70 to 90% likelihood of experiencing major complications like cerebral palsy, mental impairment, and blindness with artificial uterus. Babies born at or below 24 weeks are still unlikely to survive, and those born before 26 weeks are at risk of serious long-term health problems. So it's more dangerous for the fetus. Besides, it costs a lot. like I have already said, costs on average total of $12,400 per cycle of treatment and may require several cycles to achieve a live birth. And this should be allocated on other issues and other contraceptives. Yes.
You're saying that it will be harmful when you are using the technology. How could you ensure and guarantee that what you are doing in conventional way will not be a harmful things to do? Thank you.
Excuse me, can you repeat that? What we're doing and what?
How could you guarantee that in conventional way it will not be harmful?
Because conventional ways are proven to be more effective, and we know about and the danger is less, and the conventional ways are less risky than the new ones than this new technology that we're still going to research. Because as you know, I will continue my point to prove the previous point. So we also don't know much about the placenta, which we're going to recreate. And that's why it's more risky and more costly and less effective than the contraceptives that are being researched until now. And in fact, it's the least understood human organ according to Allen Gut measure, the placenta. So it's still far ahead, and we still don't know about the dangers and stuff. And there are, like I said, there are other more important research that has to be continued, like the contraceptives that maybe like already 70% done, but then stopped because lack of money. I think it's better to allocate that money to those kind of research and those kind of development.
The feminist movement should react in this, and about how this will actually impact the whole movement in the end of the day on this as being a form of responsibility. This explanation only coming from government side of the house. Now moving on to my second clashes is about impact for the woman. This is an important clashes. Why is that so? Because we believe that as a feminist movement, we're a woman-based movement, right? So we believe that everything that we do should be contributive and should be beneficial for the woman in the end of the day. 2 point in this. First, let's analyze the aspect, right? First, let's see about how people that have premarital pregnancy, and second about how the pregnancy when they both already married in the end of the day. So let's say about like premarital pregnant woman, right? In status quo, this women that have a premarital pregnancy only have two options regarding on how they either have to carry the pregnancy and probably living their dream, and living their dream and like not be able to pursue their education anymore because they probably get dropped out or etc., or get abortion, right? Which when we believe that abortion is still much more not pleasurable option, especially for those conservative people. We can see about how baby will actually get killed. This is directly clashing with the idea coming from opposition of the house when they question us about how the children will look like in our of the house because they probably get abandoned by their parents. We believe that when we have these artificial wombs, at least they will still be alive and they will finally have parents that want to adopt them, right? This is still going to be an option. But in yours of the house, it's either the woman should carry the baby and not be able to pursue their future, or like the baby is basically got killed. We believe that this is not a pleasurable option in oppositions of the house. So we believe that artificial wombs is so much more preferable option in the end of the day, right? And second of all, when we're talking about how marriage women experience pregnancy, we believe this is a really huge term because we need to understand, right? Just because you're married, just because you want to have kids, doesn't mean you have to give up on your dream. Doesn't mean you have to give up on your career, right? But it's not what is happening in the status quo, because what is happening in the status quo is when women get married, they most likely have the pressure to not to living their career. Why is that so? Because of like they have the responsibility of taking care of the child and not being too tired and etc etc. We don't want this to be exist in our soft house. Why is that so? Because we believe that as a feminist movement, we want women to actually have their authority, right? Then we want women to actually feel good about themselves even though when they're pregnant, or even though they want to have kids. We want women and men to have the exact same responsibility, because child is not only for women, child is also for men, especially in a marriage couple. We believe that both already have the consensus of having children. Why the woman is the only one that have to give up on their dreams? We believe that this is not fair in the end of the day. We don't want this to exist in our South house. So why we win this debate, right? Two main reasons. We believe that we're the one that actually explain about how the feminist movement this is a moral responsibility for feminist movement to aggressively promote this, to give access for women to having a choice of not being of choice of their body and their authority. And second, about how this is a form of protection for women in order to make sure they have a great future in the no matter whether or not they want to have kids or not. So we'll be proud to propose.
All right, thank you for your speech. The third speaker from the government team spent 7 minutes and 16 seconds. Now we move on to the third speaker from the opposition team. You may start your speech anytime you're ready.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, so audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the honorable speakers from the government and opposition, thank you very much for giving me the honor to represent on behalf of the opposition. With the opposition seeing this debate, from the Prime Minister to the government whip, they still have not explained how exactly this exactly this technology works, and therefore how can they aggressively campaign on this technology? How exactly they will aggressively to promote this? How what's the message of the campaign that they have not, and also they have not explained how the message will get through to all women. And also they have not guaranteed that the feminist in the end feminist organization, even though they want to reach the equality, but the definition of equality is each feminist organization are quite different, because there in the end there are radical feminists who try to write the movement into something that will actually harm society, which will I think on that. And also this technology, we the opposition sees this technology will encourage women to to make an irresponsible, just because this technology will make them easier to have a child, to bear a child, have a child. They will like since this technology we have this technology, well, we have a child then. In the end, the government cannot explain how this technology will make women remain to be, think deeply what will
the government cannot explain um, what the government cannot explain what okay, moving on to the another point. I think in the end it will and since the immature decision made by women because this technology make them easier to have a child, then what will happen if they decide to abandon the baby? They can it will increase the adoption rate. It will just you cannot say that, well, let's make more adoption center, blah blah blah. No, it cannot. It will just make the cost expensive. And what if no one adopt the a stray baby? What will happen to them? It will burden the society. It will burden the society. It will only make the it will bring the it will increase the it will increase the homelessness, such as homelessness case and something blah blah blah. And yeah, in the end in the end and also they say that, well, anyway, the population increase will happen in the status quo if this technology won't happen, well, at least in not in higher rate. Then when this technology and when we implement this technology, this motion, the increase on population rate will be higher, and therefore it will make it will make the burden for everyone, because yeah, the abandoned babies and the adoption center will be increased, so they must so the cost of the for this technology will for this aftermath for the fallout of this technology will be really high. And also the death rate of the mother are determined of how great the healthcare system in the country is. So therefore we have to improve the healthcare system, which is cheaper rather than implementing this technology. And also yeah, and also and there's no sufficient guarantee from the government on the way they will promote this technology. So because you know, the in the end what the message will they bring, since they cannot explain how this technology works, how this technology, yeah, since they cannot explain, they fail to explain how this technology works, then therefore what will the message will they bring if they have no message at all? So therefore this motion should not be passed.
All right, thank you for thank you for the speech from so the third speaker from the opposition team spent 6 minutes and 26 seconds. Now we move on to the reply speech from the opposition team. You may start your speech anytime you're ready.
All right, am I audible?
Yes, yes you are.
Great. I will be starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all very much for attending tonight's debate. It has been a very fiery debate, but we believe that we have already won this debate for a few reasons. Here, the government team has given us the definition, a contextualization of the motion by stating that they will be aggressively promoting this through education, that it will not bring only awareness, but also real change. Change, ladies and gentlemen, but for the better or the worse, has been the clash of this debate tonight. The government side of the team has claimed that by the existence of this technology and by giving the accessibility to all women through aggressively promoting this, it would allow them more freedom of choice. However, is this freedom of choice better for the society that they will be bringing? Ladies and gentlemen, the opposition side of the team has already rebutted this by stating and by bringing up the motion, by bringing up the case of the current overpopulation. Ladies and gentlemen, the overpopulation matter has yet to be explored by the government side of the team because they know, ladies and gentlemen, that it cannot be rebutted that if this technology exists, if they aggressively promote it, they will aggressively encourage more pregnancy cases and will encourage the problems that come with overpopulation. Ladies and gentlemen, the government side of the team has also claimed that because that in the status quo, there is only a marginal amount in the feminist movement, even though they admit that there are those of differing views and opinions. They claim that they have never seen such majority in the feminist movement. They have not, however, given us any guarantee that with the existence of this technology and with the universal accessibility that they are going for, this will not happen in the long run. We have given you a logical order, a systematic mechanism as to how and why there is a chance, a possibility that should not be taken for the society that we are going for, in which feminists stray from their original path. Ladies and gentlemen, another clash in tonight's debate that has been happening is the case on adopting the
of this technology. As we have stated before, the risk from this technology of creating flawed output in babies is high. We are talking about babies, ladies and gentlemen, humans. The government would like to aggressively promote this kind of idea, testing on humans. Be it the government has tested this technology in animals, but the government would like to aggressively promote this. This indicates that the government would like to, as I said, aggressively promote human testing. This is once again points out that this practice is very unethical and immoral, ladies and gentlemen. And third, about the emotional closeness, as what the deputy of Prime Minister has said. Now, how does mothers watching their babies grow out from their wombs, as stated by the government, develop emotional closeness? This was not addressed in a detailed explanation by the government team. And once again, about the real world problems that are currently faced by women in this real world. We cannot deny that women right now everywhere is still having huge oppression, yet the government chose a solution that is still flawed, that needs to be much more perfected in the future. We are talking about now, the women today, they need help. And why does the government not allocate their finance to focus more on these women who needed much more help, maybe like therapy from their a traumatic experience like sexual abuses and etc. Those kind of problems, they exist now. Why don't we focus on that first? Also, now on this technology, how will this also benefit? How will this be a benefit or be accessed by the marginalized, the poor, and the not privileged? As we stated before, this is costly. And what I've noted, the government has not addressed this issue. Instead, they said to promote the development of this technology. And how this is very costly, and to fix the flaws in this technology would cost a lot of money too. So according to this technology aggressively takes the focus away from more important women's issues and new contraceptives development that are actually being researched and almost done but became stagnant. And also pregnancy, it's not something negative. Why would they make it so negative? So hereby I state, we as the opposition team deny this motion. We deny the aggressive promotion of this unethical technology. Thank you very much.
The opponent's reply speaker spent 3 minutes 50 seconds, 3 minutes 50 seconds.
I thank her for the speech. Now let's call upon the reply speaker from the government team to end today's debate.
I'll start my speech from 3, 2, 1. You can stop technological bases if you want to see more girls and women cannot cannot pursue their dream and having a burden and still having no right to choose what they want because the girl is not a tool, ladies and gentlemen. Why we need to win in this debate? The first one, they are failed to understand the status quo and the argument of our government, ladies and gentlemen. When we are talking about the girls and we are talking about the future, we are talking about the context, ladies and gentlemen. We never force the girl to do this kind of things, but also we try to provide them and support them if those who want, ladies and gentlemen. So there is no problem with this kind of motion, ladies and gentlemen. And the other things, we also believe that they are only relied on the release of the technology, but never back up on their statement why the conventional way is a good thing, why the conventional way will be a good impact to the people who are making this, ladies and gentlemen. So there is kind of problem, ladies and gentlemen, because there is no like relevant and good things to give from the opposition inside the house. And the other thing, they are failed to break down our arguments without supporting statement, proof, or even the other impact of their argument itself, ladies and gentlemen. Such as when they are talking about it is contradictory to say that our stance will create a patriarchy, but actually it is break down from our government inside the house from the second speaker. They said there is no kind of a problems that is related with this kind of things. They also think that maybe it will not be a completely unique. So the second speaker also told that there is no kind of things that why we need to believe that is we will make a unique another kind of thing because the development of baby is very important, ladies and gentlemen. And the other thing they're also talking about the unethical and immoral because we'll have the sexual abuse and other kind of things. It's irrelevant with our motions and our problem in this kind of case, ladies and gentlemen. And they do not state about the main actors here, that is the girls, ladies and gentlemen, that will be affected from the motions. They are only stating about the baby who will die and other kind of thing. There is no explanation from them. So what we can call it is such a very like a fair explanation, ladies and gentlemen. And they are also failed to focus on the baby because they are only focused on the economy basis rather than equal opportunity, which we are stating that the things that we are trying to propose, the equal opportunity between the boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. And the other things, when we're calling about this, the second speaker has said that the opposition teams have the house, it is dangerous to the mothers. But our government team said of the house say that it is only like assuming without any further explanation from them because there is no kind of their backup in the second scenario to say that our argument will be failed until the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we are trying to say for the other kind of things, from the second speaker also said about the costly and other kind of things, we have stated from our mechanism, ladies and gentlemen, that it will be reachable for everyone. Instead of thinking that is from the privileged or unprivileged people, ladies and gentlemen. So we are trying to make sure that all people will have their economic basis and they can receive this kind of terms and mechanism from our government inside of the house, ladies and gentlemen. Why? We do believe that it was also costly for the people who are in a process of to have a baby because they need to go to the doctors and also they need to take for the risk and other kind of things. So we need to realize because it is like a win-win solution that we are trying to propose, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only for the baby, but also for the mother, ladies and gentlemen. They said also, but it will be harmful. We already state that no women will be in a harmful conditions, but they are also failed to guarantee what the conventional way is not harmful at all, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot of cases, a lot of mother that baby blues related to giving birth, such as our first speaker from the government side of the house stated previously. Ladies and gentlemen, we already made a very strong argument. The first, we are trying to promote an equal opportunity which stands until the end of the day. And second, it is not eliminated the emotional relationship. There is no problem with the mother itself because they can see the development of their baby. And the third, there's no a better alternative given from the opposition team of the house. So that's why we need to win in this debate because they are talking about anything from trying to go have their official cycle. So there's no explanation for a better alternative from this one. So that's why we need to win in this debate, and we have strong chances to say that this motion is true and good to do in our situation. Thank you.
Thank you for the speech. The reply speaker of the government team spent 4 minutes and 26 seconds. 4 minutes and 26 seconds. Yeah, congratulations everyone. Pada teman-teman dari Jerman dan juga dari Prancis. Thank you for completing this round. I think you guys are super amazing. Semoga teman-teman kedepannya sukses terus dan good luck for everything that you are going to pursue in your life. I give back to the committee.
Thank you so much for Karike, and thank you so much for everyone who has competing tonight. Now, as the debate already ended, everyone can leave the meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you very
everyone.
much.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much
You
to
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
everyone.
Jerman.
Fun.
Yeah.
Udah.
Thank you, Prancis.
Prancis. Oh, salah. Aduh, aduh.
Dimas, the debate already ended. Please leave the room. Thank you.